The African Union has been granted permanent membership to the G20 in an historic expansion of the economic bloc. Let me start by saying that, thank God, it's finally Africa's time. The long walk to freedom has begun. We are not delusional and won't expect it to be over in one day, but we are confident that we will get there sooner than later. With these little victories from the Sahel, the rest of Africa will be free and the heavens won't fall. The inclusion of the AU in the grouping of the world's richest countries will mean the first expansion of the bloc, since it was formed in response to an Asian financial crisis in 1999, comprising the world's 19 largest economies as well as the European Union. Before I continue, let me ask you this. Why is it that right after BRICS went from just BRICS to BRICS plus 6, with almost immediate consolidation efforts, G20 suddenly realized it was time to bring their African slaves to the table where big boys dined and wined? The West have lost every shred of respect and dignity they had left on the continent. Africans have seen the nakedness and wretchedness of their hypocrisy, preaching one thing and doing another. In the past, their shenanigans were easily shrouded in secrecy. Not anymore. They're throwing caution to the winds left, right, and center, and the big masquerade is, after all, human. That's what desperation can do. That's the good side of a healthy competition. It brings monopoly to its knees and feeds its arrogance to the vultures. That's why Africans would hear of a coup, and rather than shrivel with angst, they explode with joy and celebrate. Because, as far as they're concerned, any coup that removes a Western stooge from power in favor of populist, people-centered ideals is democratic. In fact, such coups are now being hailed as liberation movements across Africa. What do you expect when you lied to the people that democracy was the government of the people, by the people, for the people? But you turn around and strip them of the right to question, repudiate, hire or fire the same government, just because in reality, you colonial West own these fake African democracies. Let me repeat again by saying that. Thank God it's finally Africa's time. The long walk to freedom has begun. We are not delusional and won't expect it to be over in one day, but we are confident that we will get there sooner than later. With these little victories from the Sahel, the rest of Africa will be free, and the heavens won't fall. On the G20 summit which happened today, this is what Modi said. Today, as the president of G20, India calls upon the world to come together to transform the global trust deficit into one of trust and reliance, Modi said during his opening remarks. This is the time for all of us to move together, be it the divide between North and South, the distance between the East and West, management of food and fuel, terrorism, cybersecurity, health, energy or water security. We must find a solid solution to this for future generations. I invite the representative of the African Union to take his place as a permanent member of the G20, Modi announced. The African Union consists of 55 member states, encompassing the entire African continent, and Comoros President Azali Assoumani is presently the AU chair. The membership positions the African bloc at the forefront of one of the world's most influential global governance bodies. Anyways, I don't know what you think about AU inclusion on the G20. Subscribe and give us your thoughts on the comment section below.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, all my colleagues. This is, someone once said in a similar domestic action that was positive, this is a big deal. This is a real big deal. I want to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. One Earth, one family, one future. That's the focus of this G20 summit. And in many ways, it's also the focus of this partnership that we're talking about today. Building sustainable, resilient infrastructure, making quality infrastructure investments, and creating a better future. A future that presents greater opportunity, dignity, and prosperity for everyone. Last year, we came together as one to commit to this vision. And this afternoon, I want to highlight the key ways in which the United States and our partners are working to make this a reality. Economic corridors. You're going to hear that phrase more than once, I expect, over the next decade. Economic corridors. As we work to address infrastructure gaps across low and middle income countries, we need to maximize the impact of our investments. That's why a few months ago I announced that the United States will work with our partners to invest in economic corridors. In practice, it means we're focusing on regional infrastructure projects that deliver results across multiple countries and in multiple sectors. And today I'm proud to announce that we've finalized a historic agreement for a new India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor. As a key part of this corridor, we're going to invest in ships and rail that extends from India all the way to Europe, connected by the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. Bridging ports across two continents, unlocking endless opportunities, including making it far easier to trade, export clean energy, expand access to reliable, clean electricity, lay cables that will connect communities and secure a stable internet, contributing to a more stable, more prosperous Middle East. And I want to thank the sponsors. And I particularly want to thank Prime Minister Modi and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and President von der Leyen and the European Commissions. And since he's not speaking today, I wanted to, maybe he is speaking today. I had a note he wasn't speaking. At any rate, I'm going to stop there. In the Sub-Saharan Africa, we're working in a private-public partnership as well to invest in a trans-African corridor. That includes a new partner, the European Union. President von der Leyen, thank you for making this very possible. Together, as part of this corridor, we're going to invest in a new rail line that will extend from the western port in Angola to the DRC, to Zambia, and ultimately the Indian Ocean. It's a project that's about far from just laying tracks. It's about creating jobs, increasing trade, strengthening supply chains, boosting connectivity, laying foundations that will strengthen commerce and food security for people across multiple countries. This is a game-changing regional investment, and both of these are huge steps forward. But they're far from the only ones. We're continuing to make big investments in infrastructure around the world. That includes a solar energy site, an insulin manufacturing facility, and electricity project right here in India. We're continuing to develop economic corridors across Africa, Asia, and the Americas. And together with our partners, we're working to mobilize the trillions of investment needed to close infrastructure gaps around the world, including the formation of a new investor forum that the United States will host in a couple weeks. Let me close with this. The world stands at an inflection point in history, a point where decisions we make today are going to affect the course of our future, all of our futures for decades to come. A point where our investments are more critical than ever. So together, let's continue to work as one to seize this moment in history and maximize our collective investments, to find new partners, to unlock new capital, because when we invest in low and middle income countries, all countries benefit. When we invest in emerging economies, all economies benefit. And when we invest in the future of people anywhere, people everywhere benefit. So I want to thank you again for being here. I look forward to working with all of you, and I'm going to turn it back to the Prime Minister. Thank you.